All right, so this one is from HabineroSauce, and I thought that this just grabbed me from so many levels, and it's titled, "Is hiring escorts worth it? The math behind counter-piracy." So there's so much going on right now where there's the conversation from pirates and traders that, just get an escort or whatever, right? So it's the hiring escorts meme that has been around Star Citizen forever. And HabineroSauce took the time out to do the math and to have a discussion on it a little bit. And I do find it interesting. Now, the other thing here is, let's go right to it. So this is Habanero's channel, right? Obviously, new creator, 37 subs, 200 views, deserves way more. So here's the link right away to you guys in Twitch chat if you haven't got it yet. So if you end up liking it, hit the like, subscribe to his channel and all that stuff. But the top comment here, let's go up there right above me. There's a whole community of people who want to run security and get paid. It's not because they're greedy, but because their passion isn't, and their time is worth something. Hire a ragtag escort and see what it's like. You got nothing to lose. The difference is it's not that easy to just hire an escort, I think. So let's see what HabineroSauce jumps into, and let's see what sort of discussion we can have, because this is such a kind of polarizing topic and has been for years.
Recently, there's been a trend of gameplay within Star Citizen. To some, it's a lot of fun. There is great glory to be had. But to others, it's a source of frustration, anger, and saltiness. Yeah, we're talking about piracy.
Okay.
It isn't just piracy, though. It's an all-out attack on any cargo runner that exists in the game. Every day, there are new people whining in Global about how someone just rammed their C2 within an armistice.
Okay, he's in the door.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother topic that clearly needs to be addressed by the game specifically.
SMO 18 and SMO 10 have been an absolute graveyard, scattered ships everywhere, and even more cargo all over the ground that is absolutely untouchable. But not only that, New Babbage, the cell location, is littered as well with broken ships and cargo that is absolutely unreachable. What's up? How's it going? My name is HabineroSauce, and thank you for watching.
Oh, look at this. Dude, that logo is sick.
Hey, before the video starts, I want to point out
I can see HabineroSauce becoming like a huge creator and then selling HabineroSauce.
that I have a special
and that
offer
being the logo
for organizations. So stick to the end of the video and figure out what I've got. A few friends and I have discovered some gameplay that keeps on giving.
Okay.
We sell our services as mercenaries.
Oh, okay. So he's the type that wants to protect.
We don't just go into the mercenary tab and we find a mercenary mission to do, defending a site or doing something like that. We reach out to other organizations or streamers and see if they need our services. Sometimes they need an opposing force, or another time they need to bolster their numbers for an event, or sometimes they just need general protection.
Okay.
But cargo hauling is another area all in itself. There's been a lot of videos about griefing or piracy, and my buddy Rivergrit over at Pax Mortis said this.
Even better, hire PvP orgs, or at least friend some PvP orgs. Not just the mercenary orgs, I'm talking like the real PvP orgs that literally just play the game to fight people 24/7. That's it.
There has not ever been a time.
That was a pretty good take. It's just, how do you get them? Like, there's so many problems that get in the way of that. And I think that's why there's so much polarization on the subject, is we're in a server with 100 people where quantum traveling across the system in a single-seater ship can take 10 minutes, right? And that's sort of the issue here, is it's just not a simple and smooth process, right? And that's why I think people are very much against doing it, is because it's not a smooth experience, right? And the thing about it for me is you might want to I guess like call NPCs in and they would come quickly, right? That would be a really good thing, but we all know how NPCs work in the game. I mean, HabineroSauce says fail to plan to fail. I agree. Like our org, we went through and did some like anti-piracy training with Cutlet's org and stuff, and it went relatively well because we had the numbers. But the thing is not everybody has the numbers. I would imagine an average group would be like 5 people, right? So it makes it really, really difficult of trying to do that. Like for example, I'm out there cargo hauling, or I'm out there mining with me and my 3 friends. Well, of course it's going to suck, and you're going to whine in global when somebody just comes out of nowhere and kills you. I mean, I'm not going to whine in global about it, but I think you know what I mean. Is there's no getting protection in that scenario. And I almost feel like that's the issue with all this, is 90% of the time, maybe even more, Star Citizen is a pretty quiet universe at the moment, right? And how do you actively reach out to an org that wants to do protection, where most of the time you're not going to have that experience where you get attacked or whatever. And I've noticed that I think the server size is sort of a thing that's fighting you, because even if you do call in protection and they come quite quickly, they have to get into your server, which is most likely full, then get to you in time. So the fight's already over. You've lost your cargo. You maybe have been rammed on the in the armistice zone or whatever, right? So it does make it more difficult than we'd like it to be. And that is an argument, actually, to keep armistice zones, is it gives the cargo hauler time to call in friends, right? So you have that ability, you have that bubble of protection in order to create the fight that people are looking for, hopefully. But that's my take on it so far. Obviously, we're only 2 minutes into a 15-minute video, so let's hear his thoughts some more.
In the org that I am in, that we have ever been hired to escort someone for cargo. And it isn't for lack of trying either. If you don't know, you can go to the RSI website, go to organizations, filter the results to organizations, corporations, what have you, and then even specify that you're looking for someone that is in trading. If they have a Discord link, you can join their Discord and ask one of the admins in the server if they would like your help. We have done this. And a lot of times we will find someone that says yes with intention, but we've never had any action on that.
Because it's so hard to facilitate. Like Kowalski is here. He's a member of Cutlet's org. We're still trying to figure out how to facilitate our org relationship with each other, right? It's not simple. Everybody has to be online at the same times, and you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of logistics that have to work to make this work.
No one reaches out to say we need help running our cargo. And even recently within the PU, I had a conversation with a cargo runner where they were telling me that hiring escorts is not needed. So
it's not that it's not needed. It's the need to hire an escort isn't as often as the escort maybe wants it to be. I want us to get to a place where Habanero, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure like Detox's org, I'm sure some of you guys in the org are here. The intention for that org was always to be a mercenary org, correct? Like there's been so many people that want this to exist. And it's just we're trying to figure it out, and it just kind of sucks.
confused.
Well, keep me in the loop then,
with all the
Kowalski.
stuff that's been happening lately and the rise of piracy. My friends and I decided to find out the ins and outs of one cargo run.
Okay.
The plan was simple. What is the profit of hauling as many drugs as we could buy?
Okay. Well, this is a little bit maybe skewed. So what is the most common trade runs? I think would have been the best thing to go for. Again, we're only 3 minutes into a video, so let's start out with the drug runs. These are the most profitable ones, and then can you take some of that profit out and give it to a protecting org? Absolutely, but people are running barrel and gold, so I want to see, can you fit into your profit margins barrel and gold with protectors? I think so, but
In 1 hour. 1 hour seemed to be a simple plan. Most people can commit to at least 1 hour of their time.
true.
It's manageable and it's measurable. Additionally, it's a simple enough measurement to compare to the other tasks in the game. What could I make salvaging in 1 hour? What could I make doing ERTs in 1 hour? What could I make doing bunkers in 1 hour?
It's how everybody looks at Star Citizen, which I actually don't see as reasonable. Personally, I think you should just do whatever you find to be the most fun. You can make money doing anything in the game. You don't have to do the thing that makes the most money, right? But that's kind of off topic.
After some consideration with the average over all players, the wait times for ships, the potential risks, and the skill floors and skill ceilings represented over the entire player base, we calculated that for 1 hour, 100k AUEC is a pretty decent payout. There are definitely ways that you can get paid more within the game, but this
that would
seemed
be
to
low,
You
I
know
would
what's
say.
worth my time? 100k. So we had two questions to ask during this operation. What makes it worthwhile for the escort? Can an escort justify spending an hour of their time watching and waiting and being bored? And
That's the other thing. That's been actually the issue with me the whole time is I don't want people to be bored for my sake. Right? So it's why I typically, like, every time we do like a group mission thing with our org, whether it's salvage or mining or whatever, I'm always I feel bad for the people who want to escort. Right? It's not boring. Is mining boring? It might be boring to some people, but at least while you're mining, you have some interaction with the game. You know, it's the person who's just sitting there waiting that knows 99% of the time you're not going to come across anybody. That's the thing I've always had an issue with, is I never wanted to ask people in our org to escort because I didn't feel that they would enjoy themselves.
additionally, what makes it worthwhile for the cargo hauler?
Escorts do everything a trader does besides press the shop kiosk buttons. Fair enough. Fair.
So we decided that instead of going to SMO 18 or to SMO 10, that we would run drugs. With both of those places being quite hot with piracy lately, or just general people that are trying to ruin someone's day, drugs have been remarkably safe. I myself will try to pirate a random illegal goods runner here and there, and I have yet to find any in recent weeks.
Okay. Because
So
yeah,
I took my
everyone's
new
doing gold.
Caterpillar with its Foundation Festival paint, and we went to Crusader. Crusader has 4 drug stations, more than any other planetary body in Stanton. These are Jumptown, NT999XX on Yella, Private Property on Selen, and New and Waste on Daymar.
Crusader's
Not
awesome.
all of these drug stations are the same. We went to each one of them, we bought a few drugs from each of them, but we found that Jumptown had a restock within 10 minutes. And with less and less people spending their time at Jumptown and other servers trying to take the shared inventory for it, we found that usually at about every 10 minutes, it was pretty faithful to have about 15 SCU per item.
Not bad. Escort might be important in the future when sellers can pump out more than 1/5 of a C2 inventory every 7 minutes, because you can have a fleet of cargo flying and more need for escorts. Not only that, but we also assume that in the future there's going to be more players on a server, and there's going to be more locations for pirates. Like, it's just, as things grow, the need for these mercenaries will be, they're going to be the most important people in the game. People that are willing to run protection for you. Like, people that want, what I think is going to happen is, I think a lot of like industry orgs are going to be consumed or consume other PvP orgs. Like, everyone's going to join forces. There's so many orgs out there right now that there's going to be a lot of consolidation that happens when the game actually is more playable, and we're going to see people teaming up together and creating alliances and things like that. Industrial PvP, let's go. I've always wanted industrial PvP. Like, for me, how our org operates is, if you're mining near us, you're getting killed, right? If you're cargo hauling on the runs that we're doing, you're getting killed. So, like, that is one of the ways that I want to make the escort more fun. Is the escort isn't just a protector player. It's also just a general looking for PvP player, and we'll do it in any way possible. That's how I've always wanted to make things for us, is like, this is our location, and we fight over whatever. But yeah, man, I see this being a bigger thing. It just is so frustrating for everyone that it's not enough of a thing now. But man, I don't know why their names. There we go. Avenger 1 has been making content for weeks, months even, that is showing that this is becoming more possible. Burks and many others are making this, like, you might not like that they're pirating a lot, but they're making the people that have wanted to do this gameplay forever finally viable. So I think it's a huge, it's a maybe a net negative for you when you get attacked by them, but for the game and its community and coming together and working together to play is hopefully making a huge net positive for the game and all of its players overall. As a hauler, I would pay just a takeoff fee for me to get to QT. That way the escort can sit at trade points and sell protection to QT service like Avenger 1 did. That's actually really smart, yeah. Did he do that? I've never seen that.
I hired 2 of my ragtag friends.
That's super
I ended
smart.
Up with 3, but it still works.
Like, hey, this is our location. You pay us to land and take off. Like, you pay us to be here. Is pretty smart.
One of them, we'll call him the active escort, was to be with me 24/7. By the end, this guy was even complaining that he couldn't even get out to go drink. He went before me to every single location to scout ahead to make sure the route was clear. And he would sit in the air pinging the entire time that I was inside of the building, making sure that there were no hostiles in the air.
Honestly, I finally feel like a freelancer in Star Citizen a bit. I'll go out looking for bounties, but sometimes I'll find a C2 with 200 SCU of gold and pirate it. It feels a bit like a video game like that, 100%. Like, this is why I continuously say that Star Citizen feels more alive than it ever has. Like, there's no real knock on the current gameplay that we have, other than, it needs to gradually improve to create the reasons more for doing these things. Like, how cool will it be if the protecting player here, is gaining something from a mercenary guild of some kind, right? It'd be awesome.
The other 2 were in the same ship, a gunner and the pilot. They did not have to be with me the entire time. We'll call that passive escort. They just had to be nearby.
Okay.
While I was doing my cargo runs, they were doing their errands. They could do bunkers. They could do whatever. I think these 2 went and bought a quantum drive and cleared a crime stat.
Okay.
The pay also varied between the 2 escorts. The escort that was with me the entire time, we had concluded beforehand that he would get 20%. After all, I'm demanding all of his time. I'm asking
Sure.
him that though it's boring, that he doesn't go AFK, that he doesn't fool around, that he sits with me the entire time, and that he would be diligent in scanning.
Locking down the areas. This is from HabineroSauce, the one making the video. Locking down an area is nice, but most haulers just see global and go to the next server where they won't have to pay for protection. And that's sort of the point I'm making around your entire video right now. Is everything you're saying is super, super valid, except for the fact that we have so many shards that we're playing on right now. That, first off, global needs to go. The list of people in the server needs to go. But for me, the shards need to get larger in order for this to be truly viable. Because if you could just switch servers, it makes it not good. I know the way I say shard is a little bit weird. Okay, I'll try to
in the air while I
say
bought
it
drugs.
better. But
the other two only got 10%, and that's only because we needed them to be nearby
thank you,
and
JM.
be available
Thank you.
whenever we called, especially when we went to go sell. All in all, I was on track to lose 40% of the total profit. Here's how the numbers turned out.
Okay. Let's see.
In my pocket, I had 2.5 million AUEC.
Okay.
In 1 hour, I was able to fill just over 40% of my Caterpillar with drugs. What was left in my pocket is 500k. Let's say that I spent
So you risked 2 million.
2 million. When we left to sell, I asked all 3 escorts to be with me the entire time. When I sold and had 300k in my pocket, meaning that I had just profited 500k. That's a 25% profit. Now I have to pay the escorts.
Okay.
I pay for all 3 at 40%. This is about 200k of my 500k. One of those took 50% of that profit. The other 2 took 25. The one that
Yeah, so you meant 3 million, right? So are the numbers fudged a little bit here, Habanero? You can give us, I mean, this is great that you're here. You can give us some context. Move Mike can't see. No problem. I don't think the numbers were right anyway, so I'll move myself over here, though. He said 3 million. 3 million is intended. Numbers are accurate. Okay, let's go back a little bit then.
Here's how in my pocket, I had 2.5 million AUEC. In 1 hour, I was able to fill just over 40% of my Caterpillar with drugs. What was left in my pocket is 500k. Let's say that I spent 2 million. When we left to sell, I asked all 3 escorts to be with me the entire time. When I sold and had 300k in my pocket, meaning that I had just profited 500k. That's a
which means you should have a total of 3 million.
5% profit. Now I have to pay the escorts. I pay for all 3 at 40%. This is about 200k of my 500k.
Okay.
One of those took 50% of that profit. The other 2 took 25. The one that spent an hour with me made almost 100k, while the other 2, just for spending 15 minutes with me, made about 50k each. Now I know that there might be questions on what was fair and what was a fair price, but these were things that these mercenaries agreed to before we started.
Sure.
I think it is safe to say that the mercenaries got paid well for their time as escorts. But the real
maybe, but I don't know. I think so, but at the same time, would they do that consistently for hours upon hours a day? To do it for 1 hour is one thing, but to do it consistently is, I think, is going to be a lot harder to get somebody to follow you around for hours. And that's why I think most cargo haulers don't ask, is they expect it to people to say no, maybe. I don't know. That's interesting. Now, I've always looked at it in a different way. Is I imagine most of the time this will be more group gameplay, org gameplay, and I try to look at the way we play now into maybe more of the way that we expect things to be played in the future. And them mentioning crafting is the biggest thing that I am holding onto and grasping onto as like some meat that hopefully we get and something that good that hopefully happens. And that is around the idea that as an org and somebody running protection, nobody's going to get paid, right? The person mining the ore, nobody's going to get paid in these scenarios because, the person running the cargo for whatever reason, because you're going to take those items and you're going to turn them into something else, right? That's what I like. I see what we have now is not what the game intends to be, and I try to look, but that's probably one of the biggest flaws that maybe I have, is I try to play the game how it's intended, and the game isn't ready to be played that way. But people in my org we're trying to figure out how we want to compensate our members, because we feel like they should be, but then at the same time we know long term they won't be. So it's kind of it's a weird dilemma.
The question is this: is it worth it for the cargo hauler? Now, here is where I'm going to admit I am not a cargo hauler by any means. I usually do the escort job or do the PvP
piracy
job.
Yeah.
So buying a caterpillar running cargo is not my main thing. But I still made a profit in the end. While I paid 40% to my escorts, I still made
org taxes go to a security fund. Okay. There's some good ideas in chat.
60%. If I wanted to go do that run again, I was not in the hole. I'd be able to do it again and do it again and do it again, all the while having at least a little bit of profit. Everything else in the game splits the income. If you go do an ERT, you have to split the income evenly with everybody.
Sure.
If you go do a
Now, we can argue that is not a good system, right? We can argue that's probably not a good system. And I think like Axel is touching on what most cargo haulers have issue with. 2.5 you're okay, so 2 million you're risking for a total of 200K, which is a 10% profit margin, which I think a lot of people consider to be good if you were talking commodity trading and things like that, right? In real life, I think the difference here is that with commodity trading, there's no risk or very little risk to lose the entire haul, right? That's capitalism. You take the risk. Yes. And I think what a lot of cargo haulers don't like, and why people feel that trading isn't great, is not good, is that you can lose everything. I think that's what cargo haulers are having problems with. So if you apply this to like commodity trading in real life, well, if the price of gold goes down a little bit, you're not losing everything. You're going to lose a little bit. Right? Or you're going to lose a lot, but you're not going to lose everything because you have the choice of when you can, sell in a way, right? So yes, you're taking risks, but nobody's taking typically the ultimate risk that you'll lose everything. And that is where I think, it gets a little bit more important to do what? To hire a cargo, to hire protection, right? Because then that risk is lessened. So that's sort of where I think a lot of cargo haulers are feeling a certain way. And let me know what you guys think. But I know that's sort of how I felt, is like, wow, well, we lose our stuff to a 30K, which is no longer really an issue. Or you lose your ship to a bug or something like that, which is, again, with cargo hauling isn't as much of an issue as piracy is now. It's a little bit difficult. There are players who only want trade time for benefit. Losing is not an option. Yeah, that's obviously, you know, a issue with their mentality. But I do think that there are some issues here with the current way that trading works, that it's not really, something doesn't feel right. And I think that's why people don't want this. Also, escort doesn't doesn't mean you won't blow up. Like in this scenario, he only had 3 people escorting him. If Avenger 1 comes around, nobody's surviving that with that escort group, right? SaltEMike, from my experience playing Albion and Atlas, PvP war waging is part of the org, ends up consuming more resources than needed if there was not enough accounting for it. I mean, I was the guy who just thrive on clanmates gathered resources and fool around. I've also been that guy who just mines and gathers resources all the time, being top 1-2 gatherer on the server, and it becomes too boring, and you start to feel that the PvP guys have all the fun. That's interesting. Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, I know how Albion works. I don't know if everybody does, but
salvaging run, and people are working.
I think that's probably fair.
Get this salvage done.
You're doing everything for the PvPers.
Usually understood that everyone shares the income. But
how does it compare to other gameplay loops? I see it different from risk and profit. There's also the aspect of gaining 200 to 500k in an hour. That's insane for me as a combat pilot. Aside from a really generous assassination. I don't know. See, it's all, again, the issue for me is it's all about money right now. And I feel like the game isn't going there, though. That's the hardest thing I have with all of this. And that the money doesn't seem to add up for anybody. 900k an hour for cargo hauling? I'm assuming that's gold and barrel.
But for some reason, I have found that cargo haulers do not like the sharing of the income.
Yes.
They are used to getting 100% of the profits every single time.
Yes, but I think it's because the risk is actually pretty devastating if you lose that 2 million. Right now you're down to 500k. If you died in that run, you would then have to do 10 more runs to make your money back. But you also don't have the funds to make your money back now. So, but we do see cargo haulers with hundreds of millions of credits, right? So
past, when the game didn't have the cargo refactor or didn't have any of the dangers, or at least not as many of them, it made more sense to get 100% of the profit.
And I want to make it clear, I don't agree with what I'm saying. I don't agree at all with what I'm saying. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate on, and I think I know why cargo haulers feel the way they feel. And I agree with Axel in chat. Easy fix is insurance for cargo. I think the easy fix is cargo missions, where you don't have a buy-in. That's my opinion.
If I did this run without any escorts, I would make 100% of the profit. I would make 500k.
Sure.
If I did this 4 times, I just doubled my initial investment. And on the 5th one, I would make 125%.
Okay. I mean, from that
Piracy
standpoint,
is not going anywhere. It's here to stay. It is not going to go away with the next patch. It's not going to dwindle down as criminal activities get more punishments or if bounty hunting changes in any way. Every single patch and every single advancement, pirates will become more and more clever and find more ways.
Jesus Christ, if this game does not lack anything, it would be more insurance. I agree, but at the same time, as a cargo hauler, you could pay up front and make less profit to ensure that if you do run into the devastating scenario where you lose everything, you don't, right? So it's not, you're not going to get the cargo back like you get your ship back. How I see cargo insurance is it's not the same as the current insurance that we have in the game for other things.
To hit you. So, in one of those 5, what if a pirate had hit me? If they hit me on number 5, I would be a little over Zero.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have necessarily lost anything, but I did also just waste 5 hours of my time.
Sure, but if
I
they
had
hit
no
you on number
escorts.
one,
What if they hit me on number one? I would be crying at 500K.
yep.
Now, here's the thing. Escorts are not 100%. If you go up against a organized group of pirates, it's likely that you will lose your cargo.
Yeah.
But weighing the risks and rewards of hiring escorts, to me, it doesn't make sense to not hire them. I ran into some.
See, for me, like, he kind of argued against his point there at the end. I'm not sure where the risk and reward comes in here.
People that have friends that will run escort for them as well. You don't even have to hire those people. Sometimes they will do it for free. Now that begs into question, if they're doing it for free, how committed are they to doing it? Will they be AFK when you need them? Will they be that good if you need them? Those are all questions, but weighing the risks and the rewards, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
see, for me, this is where I want to see things go. For me, I want to see a lot less of maybe percentage per run. One thing that we actually proposed to a piracy org, again, they actually said no because it doesn't really work, is we'll give you 10 million a month. We'll give you 10 million a month. You provide us with your, the salvage of your hits, and you come to our protection when we need it. And they said no. Right? So that's kind of iffy. But this is a really interesting one from Kowalski. Honestly, with drugs or high cost, low margin trading that has been there forever, have the escorts invest their own money as well. That's really, really interesting. 10 million is chump change. Oh, I don't remember what the number was, but 10 million a month is not, I don't think that's chump change. And this was before salvage. This was before we knew how much money you can actually make. That number can clearly go up. And what we thought was, okay, well, that motivates our members to go out there and make the money, right? And then that motivates them. They don't have to worry about getting guns anymore. We'll supply them with the guns. We'll supply them with certain things, right? They won't need to do anything anymore on that front, and they can just focus on piracy or PvPing. So, yeah. Obviously, things have been, like, super inflated money-wise this patch, but organized piracy seems more rare lately. Lots of solo duo pirates out there. The bigger value in here was that the scout went ahead of you everywhere. 100%. Like, almost maybe hiring a scout is the same thing as hiring protection. And a scout you wouldn't need to pay them that much. But I always for me, how I envision the game is maybe a little bit more long-term, is that I want to build these relationships with people, and that friendships and bonds and like symbiotic relationships where we need each other for different things. Like, there's no way a piracy org is going to want to deal with all the crafting. So my org that wants to deal with all the crafting should obviously build a relationship with the PvP org that wants those things that we're crafting, right? And then in turn, they'll protect us because we have all the high value stuff that people want and are going to be fighting over, and then hopefully it's a super symbiotic relationship with everybody. That's how I see this relationship being. The problem is that the studio hasn't developed that game, right? But I love the idea of the investment from the protection org. That's really interesting.
Again, I'm not a cargo hauler, so I will rest in confusion.
Restar will fix it. Yes.
We will still be diligent about asking people if they want escorts, but until cargo haulers realize that it's okay to share your profit, I think it's not going to be something that happens.
Special deal.
I am getting bummed out by all the negative organization drama. Hypocrite this, we hate that, don't go to this person. I have had an awesome time building a community, and I would like to share that with others.
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you are part of an org or you lead your own organization, I would like to have a tour of your org on my channel. Think of it as a free trailer or advertisement. Now here's the thing, I am super friendly, but I'm not going to be your friend in this. I will be honest, I will talk about what it is, and even if I rate my own organization, it would get high rankings in some things, but maybe not in others. But I believe it will really be a fun way to do my part in building.
This seems very yeah, I think he's a spy master. Agreed.
The qualifications are quite simple. Your org needs to have over 50 members on the RSI website. This makes you a, quote, large org. If you are not that large, but you believe you should still be toured, the only other specification that I will say is that you need to have a representation on the leaderboards. There's a total of 80,000 orgs in Star Citizen, and I don't have time
80,000?
to visit all of them, but I am excited to visit yours. So please comment below, give me a link to your organization page, and if it has a Discord link, I'll be in contact and we'll set up some sort of event or something like that to get that going. Hey, remember, this game
was really
is a
good
great
video.
place to escape, but your life is a great place to live.
Oop.
So be there or be square, because if you aren't there, no one will see you around.
Okay. Here's the deal. I've always taken this angle on every conversation, is a lot of the videos I've noticed focus on the way the players play and not the way the game has been developed. And that's been my kind of MO over the years, is it's very simple to blame the players for playing in a way that you don't want them to. But in reality, what we need is the game to kind of focus on giving the tools to the players so they can do these things, right? And that's the issue, is we're not there yet to support how I think we all would want it to be. The biggest thing is the number of players per server, right? If you're hanging around Crusader and need protection in a server with 1,000 players on it, it's going to be a lot easier to find that protection, and for that protection to find the fights that they're looking for, right? So there's so many things that I feel are missing to make this what it really needs to be. But I do think that HabineroSauce touches on, well, you could still make money and continue to do these, continue to trade, and everything will be okay. You're going to be all right. You're going to make your money, right? And everyone's going to have a good time while they're doing it. And I especially like, and I think I saw some other people type this in chat as well, is since the way cargo hauling currently works, and this is specific only for cargo hauling, there's a lot of downtime. And if you're just sitting on a pad, well, nobody can protect you from a pad ram, right? There's no surviving those. And those are, I believe, are against the rules anyway, so you'll just get a ban for them. And then the other side of it is, well, is it a pad ram? Is pad ramming not allowed if you're at like Jumptown gathering drugs? I don't know, man. It's all over the place. But the idea of I guess the main thing is that you can find ways to have people involved, but they don't have to be involved through the entire process. So like the person or the people that were with him for 15 minutes instead of the person that was with him for an hour seems like a lot more doable. Like, hey, go ahead of me and just hang out here in the area for a little bit is probably the most important aspect of this. And this is how we do things, because I'd like to be more of a mining org. So a mining org does what? I mean, they're at a location. They're usually pretty easy to not find while they're mining, but then they're all going to one place and everybody knows where they're going, right? So to have somebody there to know if it's safe to jump in or not is always a good thing, right? So the scout aspect of this video I thought was really interesting, and I think a lot of the conversation that we had in chat, I love the idea of them buying in, but I don't know. How does that work, though? it does make sense for them to take the risk to get a part of the profit, right? When it comes to cargo hauling specifically. But now that I think, like, how do you get them to buy into a mining operation? Makes it a little bit harder, right? How do you get them to buy into a salvage operation? Makes it a little bit more difficult. I guess with Wake of Disaster, maybe the protection org pays 50% of the cost of finding the mission, right? So that could work there, but mining has a little bit less of a need for protection as well. So I don't know. There's a lot to think about here. But super cool video. Thank you, HabineroSauce, for it. And thank you for being here and adding additional context and everything as well. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me go ahead and copy the video again so you guys can check it out. But